First, we'll quickly discuss how addition works, and then how addition is linked to or related to multiplication. So when you add numbers repeatedly, so let's say we have 6 plus 6. You can add it the usual way. 6 plus 6 is 12. Or you can think of addition of two sixes. Repeated addition of sixes twice would be 2 times 6, and that is equal to 12. So repeated addition of the same number is multiplication. So how many sixes are we adding here? You can repeatedly add sixes, or it is easier to just say there are 6 sixes. So 6 times 6 is 36. So repeated addition of 6 times is 6 times 6. Now what if it was 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6? Repeated addition of 6 4 times is 4 times 6, which is 24. Now, how many times are we adding 3s? Let's just add one more. So repeated addition of 3s 4 times is 4 times 3, which is 12. So that's the relationship between addition and multiplication. Now, how many 11s are we adding repeatedly? It is 5 11s. So it's 5 times 11. Adding 11 5 times is same as saying 5 multiplied by 11 is 55. So make sure you memorize your multiplication tables 1 through 12. That's very important. If you want to do math quickly and efficiently, you have to know multiplication tables at least up to 12. Now let's look at some terms. Remember, 2 plus 3, if it's equal to 5, 5 is called the sum, and these two numbers are called addends. The numbers you're adding are called addends. Now when we are multiplying two numbers to get 35, so 5 times 7 is 35. 35 is called the product. And these two numbers that we are multiplying to get the product are called factors. Now we could multiply, let's make it a 5. Let's say 5 times 2 is 10, 10 times 3 is 30. I'm just changing the problem a bit. So we have 3 numbers multiplied together to get a product of 30. The final answer is the product. Final answer to the multiplication problem is called a product. These 3 numbers that we multiplied to get the product are called factors. Remember this term, factors. Now, if I say, what are the various factors of, let's say, 9? So 9 times 1 is 9. 9 is a factor. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 is also a factor. So the factors of 1 is trivial, of course. Factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. Now, what are the factors of 12? So there are many factors of 12. 12 times 1, 12 is a factor, but it's trivial. 12 and 1 are trivial. 6 times 2 is 12. So 2 and 6 are factors. 3 times 4 is 12. So 4 and 3 are factors. And I think that's it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 that are factors of 12. What is the product of 1 and any number? 1 and any number. I'm going to call it A. A can be any number, and you're going to get back A. For example, 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times radical 2 is radical 2. Nothing changes. The number remains identical when multiplied with 1. So 1 is called the multiplicative. identity, multiplicative identity. Changing the order of the factors. So A times B, switch the order, has to equal B times A. 3 times 4 is equal to 4 times 3. So when you switch the order, it's called the commutative property of multiplication. Always mention the operation. Here it is multiplication. We also have the commutative property of addition. 3 plus 4 is 4 plus 3. That is called commutative property, but it is for a different operation. It is for the operation of addition. So if I say which property have we used here, you're going to say commutative property of addition. So that would be a correct answer. Now, when we change the groupings and not the order, then we are using what is called the associative property. Notice that the order doesn't change. So we have A times B times C on the left, A times B times C on the right. What's different is the grouping. B and C are grouped together or multiplied together. A and B are multiplied together on the right side. So this is called the associative property, A, B, C, A, B, C. The order has not changed, the grouping has changed, and that's called the associative property of multiplication. So it says rewrite 6 times 9 using the commutative property of multiplication. So 6 times 9 is equal to 9 times 6. Commutative property is used when you switch the order of the numbers on the right side. Let's say 6 times 9 is the order on the left. 9 times 6, the order has changed, so we've used the commutative property. Now let's use the associative property. 4 times 7 are grouped, 4 and 7 are grouped together and then multiplied with 9. Now let's use the associative property. Now don't change the order, just write it down in the exact same order. If you want to use only the associative property, just change the grouping. So we have 7 times 4 is 28. 28 times 9, and this is 4 times parentheses first. 9 times 7 is 63. Now let's multiply. 28 times 9. 9 eighths are 72. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 7 is 25. So that's 252. And let's do the right side. We've already multiplied 7 and 9, which is 63 times 4. 4 3s are 12, 6 4s are 24, plus 1, 25. Both sides are equal to 252, which means both sides are equal in value. Now, what is the product of 0 and any number? So let's say 6 times 0 is equal to 0. Just take any number and multiply it with 0. So any number x multiplied with 0 becomes a 0. And it's the same as saying 0 multiplied to any number is equal to 0. Next, what is the distributive property? Here we're going to use two operations, both addition and multiplication. Now, if we have 2 times 3 plus 5, how do we use the distributive property? Notice that in parentheses, we have addition. Outside the parentheses, we have multiplication. So this is when we use the distributive property. Multiply 2 with 3, then add, multiply 2 with 5. So that is equal to 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10, and that is equal to 16. Let's say we did it another way. Parentheses first, So we go 2 times 8, and that is equal to 16. So both are equal. Just remember the distributive property. So A times, if I don't put anything here before the parentheses, it means we are multiplying. A times B plus C is equal to A times B plus A times C. And in algebra, we write it as AB plus AC. Remember this rule. This is called the distributive property. So we say that multiplication distributes over addition.